What's the most mind-blowing fact you know that always gets a reaction from people? Mark Rober posted this not long ago, and nobody I tell it to believes it, and then decided to add rope to it, such that the rope would be one off the ground all the way around the earth. The amount of rope you would need to add to the original rope to make that possible is 628 total, not per mile, and you would add the same amount of rope to effectuate that result with any circular object from a baseball to the sun. Video in question https youtube.com shortsec b5aick cxotuy us6c6qecq9yx. Not me, but one time my male friend challenged me to calculate on the spot with just my mind what would 10 centimeters be, using my two index fingers to show him. Why too big than 10 centimeters? I don't have 10 minutes in mind like that. And he told me X, formerly Twitter, was always actively feeding ridiculous man-hating videos like that on their FYP, or they would feel inferior. I still reflect about that. But I know a lot of facts about koala bears. Koala bears have very similar fingerprints to humans. In fact, if a koala bear's fingerprints were to get in a crime scene, it would contaminate it. Also, 90 of them have chlamydia. Lastly, they only eat eucalyptus leaves. And if you take the leaves off the branch and put it in a bowl, they won't recognize it as food and won't eat it. The American accent didn't develop away from British English. In fact, American English is actually more similar to how English used to be. It was actually British English that changed by gaining influences from other European languages. So all of those English period dramas where they use received pronunciation are probably wrong. It would be more accurate if they sounded American. To quote "the customer is always right" is incomplete. The customer is always right, in terms of taste, is the full quote. Its creator meant that customers should always get the style or color they want, no matter how ugly. It was never meant as a scrape and bow to your customers type of phrase. The actual salespeople and staff should be deferred to on product knowledge. Through her nipples, a breastfeeding mother's body gauges the microbes in her baby's saliva to adjust the antibody content of her milk. If she's breastfeeding two babies simultaneously, and one baby is significantly younger than the other, the milk coming from one breast will be totally different than the other one. From Bill Bryson's book The Body. There is a town in Pennsylvania that has been on fire since the 70s. Coal mine under the town caught on fire. The federal government relocated the entire town, and now there's just a ghost town there with smoke coming up from cracks in the roads for decades. It's on my bucket list to sometime visit Centralia, PA. All planets in our solar system could fit between the Earth and our moon with space to spare. That's how far the moon is away from us. Always boggles my mind as well. And I said could, but having Jupiter this close would be nightmare fuel, lol. Australia is wider than the moon. The moon is 3,400 kilometers in diameter, whereas the good old land of Oz is almost 4,000 kilometers from east to west. That really does blow my mind that the country I live in is bigger than the poor old moon. All humans start out as female in the womb. Once the Y chromosome kicks in, if there is one present, the uterus becomes a prostate, the ovaries become testicles, and the clitoris becomes a penis. That's why men have nipples. The Amazon River is so ludicrously powerful that you can get in a rowboat and row 10 miles out, so that you can't see land, and drink the water around to not get salt poisoning. The water is still fresh enough to drink. In the NHL, goals plus assists equals total points. If you separate Wayne Gretzky's career goals total from his career assists total, he would be both the leading scorer as well as the 129 scorer in NHL history. The fact that you're never more than 6 feet away from a spider. There is estimated to be over 21 quadrillion spiders on the planet. Quadrillion. That number is so insane to even try to put into perspective. That the crust on a Cornish pasty was for the miners to hold and not contaminate their meal with dirty hands. The crusts were then discarded in the mine for the knockers to enjoy and keep them safe. Humans have no receptors to specifically feel when something is wet. It's inferred from other stimuli. This is why you can sometimes touch something and wonder if it is wet or just cold, like a towel. For every grain of sand of every beach on Earth, there are 10.00 stars in the observable universe. Yet, there are more atoms in your eye than that there are stars in the observable universe. Nintendo and Jack the Ripper coexisted. Nintendo was founded in Kyoto on the 23rd of September 1889 as a company that made playing cards. Jack the Ripper was active from 1888-1891 in London. I was going to say, more people live in Tokyo than live in all of Canada. But that statistic has stopped being true at some point, since I learned it. It's still pretty close though. Did you know Cleopatra lived closer in time to the invention of the iPhone than she did to the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza? Now that's a time-traveling pharaoh. One of the members of ABBA was the product of Nazi breeding experiments. This may be what the movie Mamma Mia was based on. I don't know. I will never watch it. That squirrels see the world in slow motion. And that's why they're always running around like crackheads and waiting until the last minute to get out of danger. Tom Brady has never drank coffee. Another one is the lead singer of Kiss, Gene Simmons, has never been high or drunk. Those both always kinda blow my mind. That every single duck is a product of rape. It's happened for so long that female sucks have a biological component they don't get pregnant after. You can get social security from the government based on the salary history of your ex if you were married at least 10 years and are now divorced. Most of the discoveries of the European Renaissance that are attributed to white men were discovered long before during the Islamic Golden Age. That days get longer in winter, not shorter, and shorter in summer, not longer. People always say you're wrong until I explain it. Jack Cocteau's party trick was to strip naked and lie on a table before bringing himself to ejaculate solely by using the power of thought. It's possible to grow your clit many times in size with a small amount of hormones, and you likely won't experience any other side effects. You only need 40 decimal places of pi to calculate the circumference of the entire universe to the accuracy of a single hydrogen atom. Wishing on a shooting star is wishing on a dead star. Seems like a lot of PPL really don't pay attention to their science subjects. Alaska is only 2.4 miles away from Russia. For mainland Alaska and mainland Russia, the distance is still only 55 miles away. The largest living organism on Earth is 5.5 kilometers long. Armillaria solidipes is the honey fungus in the Pacific Northwest. The character Eve never bore a child from the character Adam, meaning the rest of the story is hogwash, sorry not sorry. Venus is longer than a year. Venus about 243 Earth days to complete one rotation on its axis. You read it right. Genghis Khan raped so many women that genetic testing shows 1 in 200 people alive today may be his descendants. Pollution from coal power stations kills more people every day than every nuclear power accident in history. In about 10-15 years, the world will run out of its supply of helium. Thanks for this fact. Smiling friends. Ancient Egypt existed for so long that ancient Egyptian archaeology was a career in Cleopatra's time. Female koalas have 3 vaginas and male koalas have a forked penis. A penis with 2 heads. It is impossible to swallow unless your mouth is closed completely, i.e. a perfect seal. Try it. African people are genetically much more diverse than the rest of the world combined. Your pinkies are bent from supporting your phone for hours every day. Yeah, take a look. A mantis can and will kill a hummingbird by decapitating it and sucking its brain out. All the hydrogen nucleus atoms in the universe were formed shortly after the Big Bang. Only 3 of the Earth's water is fresh water, and less than 1/3 of that isn't frozen. You have a ton of small insects called mites living in your eyebrows and eyelashes. For the last decade there have been no detected but unsolved murders in Scotland. The proper term for a fear of long words is hippopotamonstrosbaceous. How hummingbirds migrate to South America. Does anyone else know the answer? A piece of paper folded in half 27 times would be taller than Mount Everest. A coal power plant releases way more radiation than a nuclear power plant. If your immune system found out about your eyes, you would become blind. A single tiger, the Champawat tiger, killed over 400 people in India. Every year, about 60,000 people in India are killed by venomous snakes. There's like 1,000 creatures fucking on your eyelashes right now. Texarkana, Texas is closer to Chicago than it is to El Paso, Texas. Thank you everyone for sharing such a great and interesting thread. The youngest woman to ever give birth to a child was 5 years old. No, I don't know what your insurance covers, it's your insurance. The Appalachian Mountains are older than the existence of bones. South Australia here. All our utilities are owned by China. Canada is closer to Africa than the United States is. Other people's sputum tastes worse than their poop.